Welcome back into Locked On Brewers. A great guest here on Interrogation Tuesday. Sal Frelick joins the pod next.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back in, everybody. I'm Dominic Cotroneo. This is Locked On Brewers. Thanks for making us your first listen of the day. This episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has got you covered this season and on Sunday, of course, with more odds, more lines, and more props than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Today, we are pleased to be joined by Sal Frelick, 21 years old. He's out of the Boston area in Massachusetts. He was the first-round pick of the Brewers, 15th overall this past year's draft. Sal played collegiately at Boston College. Of course, 2020 kind of interrupted things for him, so he was technically a super sophomore in 2021, in which he hit .359, had an over 1,000 OPS, 6 homers, 27 runs batted in 48 games, and a tremendous career at Boston College. This past year in the minor leagues, he played a total of 35 games in affiliated ball. Of course, you're drafted in the middle of the season, have to be assigned and move your way up. He made it all the way to high A, up to Appleton with the Timber Rattlers. He played in 15 games there. He played in 16 games with Carolina as well. Overall in the year, albeit a short year for him with a lot of baseball if you include his college season, he hit .329, 2 homers, and 21 runs batted in affiliated ball, along with an .880 OPS in his first taste of what things are like in professional baseball. Sal, as we mentioned, he's a Boston kid, really, really personable. He's coming up next in just a moment with Vinny Rattino. Before we get to that interview, we're going to tell you about Built Bar, of course. As we are here in February, maybe your New Year's resolutions aren't going as planned. Hey, you can use Built Bar to help get back on track. It's something that actually is healthy for you, good for you. It actually tastes good. It tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. Have you also got to try their puffs? It's the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, marshmallowy, but they're not just protein. They're actually a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate, just like their bars are as well. It's the ultimate macro chart. You'll be blown away with high protein and low calories, high fiber, low carb. It's exactly what you want if you're really deep into that level with the macros as well. And the flavors speak for themselves, of course. Mint brownie, coconut almond. New flavor this month as well, white chocolate cookies and cream. I might need to have to get my hands on those. They are delicious and amazing flavors coming out all the time at Built.com. You can see their entire lineup there. Built.com, promo code LOCKED15, and you're going to get 15% off your order with our friends at Built Bar at Built.com. And this episode's also brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local auto chain to supply all the parts your car will ever need. You can save time and money with Rock Auto. Why would you choose to spend a 30%, a 50%, and even 100% markup for the same parts from a chain store or even from a dealership, whereas you can use Rock Auto, a family-owned business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every single customer. You can go and explore their easy-to-use website today and find a solution for your auto part needs. So just go to rockauto.com and you can see all the parts available for your car or truck. And in the survey, you can write Locked On and how did you hear about us? So you know that we sent you, okay? So amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need, rockauto.com.
15th overall pick for the Milwaukee Brewers. Man, we're glad to have you on board on our side. Wanted to just kind of dive in and get a little bit on your background, where you're from. I know you got the hockey and football background. Give us a little bit of the story of Sal Frelick up until now.
Yeah, so grew up in Boston, right outside Boston, Lexington, Massachusetts. Played 3 sports growing up. I was a baseball, hockey, and football player. Never really had a favorite sport. It was always whatever season it is, that's what I was doing 100%. So, in the winter, loved hockey, fall football, and spring baseball. Played all the way through high school. Boston College actually offered me for baseball in between my freshman and sophomore year of high school. I ended up taking it, but still wanted to make sure I was playing, 3 sports year round. Played all the way through at Lexington Public School before I got to Boston College. But yeah, that's my background.
As far as the other sports, being a New England kid, obviously it's very normal to be playing hockey and football and everything. You're kind of selling yourself short on the recruiting in the other sports, specifically football as well. Can you take us through what it was like your senior year, even though BC had already offered you had committed, what it was like going through the college football recruiting process?
Yeah, it was a lot. I mean, like I said, I never really had a favorite sport. I really loved all three equally, and I definitely I wasn't blindsided by it, but a lot of colleges coming for football my senior year. Boston College actually offered me to do both. I had planned on doing that for about 2 months, and just kind of sat down with my baseball coach at BC, Coach Gambino, and he was kind of like, hey, listen, I really think you should just do baseball, focus on one. I really see a lot of potential, which I had not seen in myself. And, young me is like, no, I want to play both. I want to play both. So I was like, should I look elsewhere? Maybe see if some of these schools will offer me for baseball that were offering me for football. And in the end, I kind of took his advice and went out on a limb and said, I'll just stick with baseball.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, we're kind of glad you did, obviously, right? Because obviously you're very, very highly touted prospect, obviously number 98, I think I saw on the top 100 list. And it's rightfully so, right? I mean, you come out and you really swing the bat well in Hickory this last summer. But when did you – I'm just looking at your college numbers a little bit. I mean, you tore the cover off the ball your freshman year. Obviously, 2020 was that weird year where you guys had that shortened season. And then last year, obviously, you really, really solidified yourself as a first-rounder. When did you kind of see yourself as this pro prospect guy that's going to, jump up draft boards? I mean, was it your freshman year? Or I mean, it's tough, right, coming from the Northeast. Give us a little bit on that.
Yeah, I think, and people ask it all the time, I really never had a big moment where I was like, I think I can, get drafted pretty high, maybe until towards the end of my junior year. I think coming out of high school, I played in the Futures League, which is a summer ball league up here. So it was after my senior year of high school before I went to BC. Kind of tore that up, and that was like, hey, I think I can, kind of hang with the college guys. So I had a little confidence going into BC. I was actually hurt my freshman fall. I tore my meniscus.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't play at all. And then Coach Gambino stuck me in the lineup day one, though, and kind of carried that. Ended up re-injuring it towards the end, so I didn't finish that season. And then came back sophomore year. Again, we played, I think, maybe like 10 games. And then COVID happened, so we were cut off again. And then junior year coming back, maybe like 2/3 of the way through, I was like, wow, I think, I might be getting picked high here. But again, it's kind of hard, trying to win baseball games and, in the back of your mind worrying about the draft. So I would say definitely on the later end of things, I kind of started to notice.
And you lead me into my next question with the injuries your freshman year. How hard was that for yourself personally? And then, throw in COVID, you feel like you're back and you're ready to prove yourself. And then bam, that gets ripped away from you. The college baseball scene just got really pulled from under the rug from you. And then it really was all in your third year, in your quasi junior year, of what it was like to get back after it finally in a fully healthy season.
Yeah, and my junior year was the first time in my life I had actually played baseball year-round. Freshman year and sophomore year, I just wasn't able to do it with COVID and injury, and I think that definitely helped me prepare better for the season. But the injuries, looking back, I think I can definitely take some positives from it. Just, was in a really dark place, especially after the second one. Like I was feeling bad for myself, and towards my sophomore year and junior year, anytime, maybe I was going through a little bit of a slump, I was definitely more grateful to even be on the baseball field healthy and playing, than really worrying about why I went 0 for 4. And I think it kind of just kept my mentality, much more grateful and happy to be there. And, those slumps were shorter, and business kind of took care of itself, but definitely helped the mental side of it. I even saw that a little bit in pro ball.
And to follow up on a brighter note, too, for your teams at Boston College, you were kind of part of a new era for Coach Gambino with the field upgrades, with the new support for the Eagles there in Chestnut Hill. Can you take us to what it was like finally playing on a proper field? For folks who don't know the story, maybe you can tell about what the ball field used to be during football season.
Yeah, unbelievable. So I was actually the first class that was promised the new field. So when I came in my freshman fall, we were on our new turf field. It was just literally a turf field in the middle of like our back campus. There was just building the stands and our brand new facility, which we have. But prior to that, it was where you would tailgate for football games. So in the fall, you get a tailgate, and then you go out to the field the next day to Shea, and it's completely ripped up. So you were really training on it that much in the fall, and it was, really tough. But again, I think that's kind of the Boston brand. It gave a lot of grit to us, and I think that's kind of still the identity we want to carry, even with our brand new facility, which is now the Pete Frady Center. And that was brand new last February. So we had it for my whole junior spring. Was really lucky to get in there. It's where I trained this whole off season as well. But it's an absolute beautiful place. And I think Coach Gambino did a great job, as well as, the college, university, and all the faculty really helping to get that thing up.
Yeah, you mentioned grit. Obviously, every time you Google Sal Frelick, you see a picture of you just kind of going all out, the effort, running the bases, diving into walls. It's awesome. I love that about your game. I used to scout with the Texas Rangers as well, so I have a lot of connections in the scouting world, and I often ask, other scouts, what they got and what comp they have on certain players. I asked a number of guys on you. What I see is Steve Finley. I don't know. You're probably too young to even know who Steve Finley is, but I see a similar type of player, not undersized by any means, but just, the average size, but really can impact the baseball, do some things on defense, run the bases really, really well. Who do you model your game after, besides Steve Finley, of course?
Yeah, I think we've been, I would thank you for not saying I was undersized. That really means a lot. But I would say I was a little definitely a little undersized. But there's been some guys in the game now that were, are undersized. Like I grew up a Red Sox fan, and Dustin Pedroia was like my role model, just because he was always a short guy, played the game that way, never had his jersey clean at the end of the game, and more so like hustle wise and doing the little things right is more what I like to emulate my game after. Mookie Betts is another great one. How he runs the bases, does the little things. He's a superstar. He doesn't have to do that. And it's more of those type things that I really like to model my game after. But yeah, those are two guys that, I love watching.
What was it this year?
Let me just follow up real quick, Dom, to that. So we had Charlie Green on here. I'm sure he's probably your favorite coach by now, right? Because he's everyone's favorite coach 5 minutes into meeting him. He was mine. But he said, we asked him to sum up your game basically sum up who you are in one word, and all he could think of is gamer. So that's kind of a testament to the guys that you just said. So that's awesome.
Gamer's a great comp, I think, for what I've seen on tape, and that leads me into you for this season. You finally played ball professionally this year, 2021, and in 2022 coming up, looking like a season is coming and everything. What was it like finally getting out there? You made it to high A with the Timber Rattlers this past year as well. What's it been like finally playing minor league baseball?
Yeah, it was great. Loved, getting the beak wet a little bit and playing some minor league baseball. It was a lot at first. I was kind of moving around a ton. I was 3 weeks in Arizona, played a couple games down there, moved to North Carolina, then moved to Appleton. And, it was fun. I had an absolute blast playing baseball every day. I never played that much baseball in my life. Even in college, you're playing 4, maybe 5 games a week, but you're playing 6 games a week every day. You got to, get up and get ready to play. But I had a blast. I had a lot of fun in Zebulon as well as Wisconsin. Definitely struggled a little bit when I went to Wisconsin, which, again, a lot of positives to take from that. As much as, I hate struggling. Definitely glad that I got a little taste of that and saw some better pitching and was able to kind of craft an off-season plan based around that. But had an absolute blast.
What are the things that you focused on this offseason, whether it be with your body, with your approach, or what were the things that you worked on this year?
Yeah, well, number one was definitely getting my body tempered and ready to go. Never played a schedule like this before, so I wanted to make sure, I'm stretching, I'm lifting, so, pliability, all that stuff, to make sure I'm ready to go. And then, a lot of stuff in the cages, never really changing stuff mechanically. It's just making sure I'm challenging myself, seeing all sorts of spin pitches like that. So, no, it's been a fun offseason, though.
Now, do you guys get at Boston College, are you guys getting into the lab? That's something that we didn't really have, coming up. I signed in 2002. So, there was no such thing as, hitting labs or pitching labs and stuff like this. Are you guys doing that at Boston College? And then are you doing that with the Brewers as well? Not to give anything away, obviously. I know everything's so super tight-lipped, but yeah, are you guys doing that?
Not too much at BC. I mean, we have Rapsodo for pitchers. We have a HitTrax for, hitters like that, machines, but there's not too much breakdown via technology. I definitely say it's more hands-on, working with coaches. I think I would definitely, had preferred that growing up. I loved it at BC, and then it was the same. I mean, they gave you the option. I talked to friends too, in most, teams, if you like to do hands-on, if you like looking at video, whatnot, and the Brewers offered all that. They have all the technology in the world. I remember when I first got down there, I was basically naked, just in my underwear and shoes, like wired up, like taking swings. So that's just all data though. And I'm not necessarily getting all of that. If I ask for it, I have access to it, but yeah, they give us whatever we need.
Can you take us back to your draft day too? What it was like, what your emotions were, who you were with on that day when the Brewers called your name?
Yeah. So I was debating whether or not to go to the draft. I definitely wanted to stay home though. So I was glad I did. Had all my family and friends, all my buddies that I grew up with from Lexington that, I was playing sports with, had all my teammates that could make it from Boston College. Even, I had some kids from other sports teams at BC, even just friends from classes and stuff like that. So it was really nice to, kind of share that moment with them and to have all of them there for that.
It's a moment that I think a lot of people realize, maybe some guys don't react fully or things like that. When you hear that and you get to see your parents and get to see your friends do that together, what's the rush of emotion of in that moment?
I mean, it's super emotional. I mean, it's something that, kids dream of and work as hard as they do for. And I can tell you I've planned that moment out in my head multiple times since I was a kid, and it really didn't seem too far off when it actually happened. So it was super cool.
That's awesome. That's I mean, what a dream come true, right? At the end of the day. So really, really happy for you. Happy that you're with the Brewers. I mean, I know that this is a market that really embraces their players. Have you heard that before about the Milwaukee Brewers, or what are you kind of coming into with kind of your thoughts about the organization beforehand, and then give us your thoughts now that you've been with the organization for 6-7 months now?
Yeah, I mean, I'd never been to Wisconsin. I'll tell you, when I was down there, definitely a lot nicer people there than there are in Boston, just especially on the road. But no, it was great. Uecker was like a huge fan. I was like a huge fan of his. I got to meet him when I went down there. It was super cool. Hopped on the broadcast for a little bit with the guys, met some people, but they were definitely all welcoming. And sat down with Ryan Braun for a little bit, and he talked to me, and it was just them kind of saying, "Hey, here's our culture. We want you to meet all these people." It was really cool week when I was down there. And even when I got to Arizona, I'm all in on their process and how they go about it, letting guys do what they want, giving guys whatever they need. And I think it's nothing but good things to say. It's
great. It's a whirlwind of a week, I'm sure, when you go to see the big league club and do the whole pageantry, of course, of meeting everybody. And, I feel like at the end of those meetings or at the end of that day, you're like, all right, how many people did I see today? And it's like, and then you mentioned Bob Uecker, of course, is, it's Mr. Baseball. And it's one of those things that it's a pinch me moment kind of thing, right? What was it like for you just to say, oh my God, that's Bob Uecker?
It was awesome. And he was doing the radio at the time, and he actually stepped aside in the middle of an inning and, took the time to come over, shake my hand, talk to me a little bit, just chop it up. But definitely super nice. And that's what everybody was doing. Like, they didn't really have to give me the time of day. It was really nice to see people really look out and want to have a chat with me.
Hey y'all, once again reminding you that today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. They have you covered this season with more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before as football is marching to Sunday for the big game. BetOnline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just football. BetOnline, of course, has up-to-the-minute info on pro and college hoops, NHL, boxing, UFC, along with live, real-time updates of amazing current games. Don't wait. Take advantage of all their new offers here in the 2022 season. BetOnline, where the game starts. So to shift gears too, I want to go back to college. And if folks are watching on YouTube, they notice I'm wearing the Strikeout ALS shirt, which comes from Pete Frazier and Boston College. Obviously, we lost Pete recently a few years ago. Did you get to know the family at all? And what is your connection, and what was it like playing for Boston College, with Pete Frazier's legacy in the Beanpot and playing at Fenway and everything that comes with playing at BC?
Yeah, it was awesome. So I actually have known Pete for a little bit. I was when I was in high school, we had an inner city league team called the Lexington Blue Sox. And it was like, I think back then it was like the Cape, maybe the NECBL, a couple other leagues. But if not, most guys would go back to their area and find a college league. That was one of them, and Pete would play for them. And when he was diagnosed, we actually started, getting those shirts there. And I was a sophomore in high school. He would come down to the field. That was the first time I met him, and I had just committed to Boston College. And then when I got to BC again, he was around the field as much as he could be. It was a little tougher. But then I got to know his brother Andrew, his parents John, Nancy, very well. We do like a run for them every year up in Beverly, where he's from. And then obviously the new facility is named after him, which is super special just because every time you walk in there, you know why you put on the jersey, you know who you're playing for. And it's simple. He's my biggest hero, everybody's biggest hero.
That's awesome. Sal, I got one more question before we wrap here. I just so we're all very, very excited about you getting to the big leagues real soon. What are the biggest, if you had one thing that you had to not change, but really kind of like work on in your game, what would it be before you got to Milwaukee?
Yeah, definitely just shooting the gaps a little bit more. I think definitely in college I would maybe pound the ball into the ground a little more than I'd hoped to. I think a big part of my game is my speed, and I love beating out ground balls. But if I can be hitting line drives in the gaps, I know that those are going to turn into home runs, and I'm not going to be able to try to dig out ground balls to short every single time. The defenders are way better, so definitely been working on lifting the ball a little bit more. Not trying to hit home runs, but definitely more line drives.
And then are you just kind of doing that with contact point, or are you tweaking the path a little bit?
No, all contact point.
Yeah.
Get in the cage. You want to make sure that everything middle away is a line drive over the shortstop's head, and everything middle end's a homer over the right fielder's head, and just making sure that's my bat path and sticking to that and keeping to that. So when it's in the game, it's just a little more natural.
That's awesome.
I love hearing you guys talk hitting. If guys actually know what they're doing when they're talking hitting, as opposed to me sitting over here. I want to close with some fun questions here, Sal. Well, first and foremost, I want to get something out of the way. If folks understand you're from Boston and you're from New England, does that make you a Patriots fan first and foremost?
So no, actually.
Okay.
I am actually, surprisingly not. I am a Steelers fan. So my dad's side of the family's from Pittsburgh. I was there all the time growing up. My dad actually played football at Pitt, so we were down there a lot at Pitt. So I'm a Penguins fan, hockey, Steelers fan for football, but baseball and basketball, I'm Celtics and Red Sox.
Okay.
Not Red Sox anymore. I was.
Understood. No, it's everyone's still got their team, okay? Don't worry. It's all good. So I'm going to follow this up then with a few fun questions. I think I already know the answer to the first one, all right? I just want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind here, okay? So who was your favorite baseball player growing up?
Dustin Pedroia.
What's your favorite food to eat, whether it's in Boston or elsewhere?
Hot dog.
What was your favorite baseball team growing up, which we just found out was the Red Sox?
Red Sox.
If you could have any number, what would it be and why?
I'd probably say 11 just because it was my college number.
Easy enough. What's your walk-up song this past year, and are you going to change it for this coming year?
Yeah, it was Desperado by Rihanna. I think I might change it, not sure. Kind of liked it, but we'll see.
To follow up on that real quick, when I was in the Carolina League for 2 years, in Zebulon, you guys have an amazing speaker system, and our booth is right above that speaker. And I swear, every single season, somebody had Desperado. And that whole booth would absolutely shake, because I know exactly what part of the song you're talking about, where it would just absolutely shake. And I think it's a good pick. I'm proud of you.
Oh, maybe I'll keep it there. I'm going to keep it.
There you go. I like that. And then my last question for you is, when you make it up here to Wisconsin, are you going to have a Brat first, or are you going to have a Miller Lite first?
Tough question.
Probably Miller Lite. Well, what's I had a spotted cow.
Spotted cow. There you go. That's actually a better pick.
That I guess is only in Wisconsin, which I had. It was unbelievable. So it might be that.
That's pretty
great.
We
are now sponsored by New Glarus Spotted Cow.
We can make a
brewing
call.
Company. Thanks, Sal. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Sal. We really do appreciate you taking some time. For folks, obviously we're going to see you move forward in the minor leagues. And do you have any social media that you want to share and see your journey as folks go along the way with you?
Yeah, just my name on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep, Sal Frelick online, and we'll pop it up here on the screen as well. Sal, we wish you good luck and good health as well as we move forward into 2022. Have a great spring training and wherever the season holds for you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Sal.
And a quick programming note for the rest of this week. No episode right now as we continue through our lockout schedule. No episode on Wednesday, tomorrow. Thursday, we continue our penultimate Throwback Thursday episode. It is the numbers 4 and 3 on the season. We're almost at the end of our top 20 games of the year, and nothing to come on Friday at this moment as well, unless some breaking news happens, of course, in baseball. So we really appreciate you guys listening to Sal today. Again, our next episode will be on Thursday, and hopefully we get some more movement here in the lockout. Until then, stay safe, everybody. Keep on swinging.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.